Hey guys, what's up? And it's time for me to share with you my best books of 2021. You're probably saying that I'm literally wearing the same outfit and the same hair situation in all of these upcoming videos, and that's because I am trying to get all of these filmed before I just don't have time. I just wanted to make sure I get them done so I can edit them in the next coming weeks and have them up for you guys. So don't knock that I'm wearing the same outfit every single time. It's okay. So let's start off with the fact that I have 10 books to share with you that are my best books of 2021. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get 10, but then I realized how much I had a lot of books that I really loved. I had a lot of 5 stars this year compared to the past. I just read a lot of wonderful books, which is really good. So this isn't including the December books that I read. This is only including from January to November. If I have any really great books that I read in December, then I will let you guys know. This is just encompassing the 11 months of 2021 that have happened so far. When you're seeing this, it is probably December, so you probably understand that. But so let's start. I had quite a few 5-star reads, and all of them, I actually had more 5-star reads than I have in this list. I have some 4-star reads in here just because they're like, I still think about them, so I put those in here as well. But I had more 5-star reads than they're on this list, and that says a lot. I wasn't an easy I'm not easy with my ratings. I give them what I think, and if I think they should have a 5-star, then I give them a 5-star. So let's get into it. The first book is Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. I am so glad I read this. This is the 3rd book in the series. I didn't know it when I read it. But I absolutely loved it. These characters are just beautiful. Like, if I could have an Adrian in my life, that would be fantastic. But also a Vanessa. I mean, both. If I had either of them, I really would like to marry either of them. It'd be great. But yeah, so this is about Vanessa, and she is dealing with the fact that she may not live until she's 30. None of the women in her family have lived until they're 30, and so she has made a plan that she is going to live her life to the fullest. She is a vlogger, and yeah, and then there's a baby left at her doorstep, and so she has to take on that responsibility, and Adrian kind of helps her along, and their friendship and relationship is just amazing. I absolutely love it. It's so good. It's funny. Abby Jimenez really knows how to balance comedy relief with like a very intense moment, and it's just perfect. The writing is amazing. The pace of the book is incredible. It doesn't feel too long. It doesn't feel too short in the fact that everything's crammed together. It's perfectly paced, and I just highly recommend this. I am planning on reading Happily Ever After, the Happily Ever After playlist. If you watched my previous video, then you will know. But I plan on reading that, which is the 2nd book in the series. I haven't got my hands on the Friend Zone, but yeah, I think I'm going to end up buying this whole series. The next book that I read that I gave 5 stars was Helen Huang's The Kiss Quotient. This is another one that is part of a series. This is the first one, though. I actually knew the order of this. I saw The Heart Principle coming out and people talking about the whole series and how great it was, so I decided to pick up The Kiss Quotient from my library, and I absolutely loved it. It is so wonderful. Again, these characters are so lovable, and it's just it was so nice to see a autistic main character that wasn't all she was. It was a component of the storyline, but it just wasn't the main storyline, and their relationship was so good. The characters' relationship in this book are just phenomenal. The patience that is involved in this relationship is really nice to see, because you don't see it a lot in romance novels. And again, the pacing in this is amazing. So yeah, I highly recommend. I've had very good luck with romances lately, and I think I really have found the types of romances I like, because they're smutty. I will tell you that. The Kiss Quotient is very smutty, but it's kind of necessary to continue the plot along. And yeah, I like books that have I like romance novels that actually have a plot to them and not just all about the smut. And I think these types of novels where it's about life, but also about finding love, even when you're having really hard times, is amazing. I love it. Next book is a book that I rated 4 stars, but I cannot stop thinking about it. So I'm wondering if I should give it 5 stars. I just didn't have the urge to give it 5 stars. But it is Throwaway Girls by Andrea Contos. I spoke about this book in my books that I want to read by the end of the year. I pre-ordered her second book because I love this one so much. So it's about this girl who is searching for her best friend, and she kind of realizes just how many girls are missing, and that people are only looking for her best friend because she is white and because she is rich and or her family is rich. And so she starts looking into all of these other missing cases, and she's also trying to search for them while also searching for her best friend. It's a very interesting, very intricate novel. There's a lot of puzzle pieces that are involved, and it's surprising. The big reveal is very surprising. It definitely talks a lot about privilege in the case of who gets looked for when they're missing, who actually gets cared for. If you're rich and white, you definitely will get looked for. If you're poor, if you are of another race, you're just not going to get looked for. And I think it was really good commentary, especially from a white author, saying, oh yeah, I realize my privilege. I highly recommend this book, and I cannot wait to read her second book. It's gonna be another thriller. But yeah, this book is beautiful, and it talks about like sexism and stuff as well. It just has a lot of stuff in it, and it's just wonderful. It's a good time all around. It's a little slow at the beginning, and I think that's why I gave it 4 stars, but it kind of had to set the pace of what was going to happen, and so I was okay with it. It was great. I absolutely loved it, and I think about it often. I still have to buy it. What I'm doing is getting books from the library from now on, so I'm not buying all these books and then not liking them. So if I like the book, then I will end up buying it. So the next book might be my favorite book of the year. I'm just gonna say it is my favorite book of the year. This book absolutely destroyed me. I pre-ordered this, but I had an arc of it, and I first off, the cover is gorgeous. I've been living under a rock and haven't heard about this book. This is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Dale. I don't know how to say his last name. I don't want to mess it up. So, but this book. This is his debut novel, and I just cannot believe it, because this is phenomenal. Like, the premise of this book is that Julie has just lost Sam. Sam died in a car accident, and she's dealing with that grief. So is his family and everyone that was friends with him and stuff. So she's dealing with that grief. So one day she decides to call him just to hear his voicemail, just to hear his voice. Well, he picks up. And then that leads us to a beautiful, heartbreaking story that makes me want to cry every time I think about it. I'm not going to give too much away, because I think this is just a book that you need to read, because it deals a lot with grief and the different types of grief that there are. Not everyone grieves in the same way, which was a very insightful way to look at it, because we all think everyone grieves the same, but we don't. I really felt that I grieve how Julie grieves. She's a fantastic character. Oh, Sam, amazing character. And then all of his family and the side characters that are involved in this are just amazing. And I love every second of it. And it literally broke my heart. Like, I'm pretty sure that the last like 2 or 3 chapters of this book were made to make us fall apart. 100%. I'm just warning you now because I would have liked to be warned. I knew it was going to break me from the premise, from the synopsis of the story, but yeah. Oh, yeah. I did end up on my floor crying for about 10 minutes just thinking about this book, and I think about this book all the time. And it usually, I moved it because I'm using it currently, but it usually sits up there because it is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's beautiful. So highly recommend this book. It came out in November, so yeah. Oh man, and there's so many quotes in this book that are beautiful. There's not much I can say. I'm really excited to see what else he comes out with, because this book is, like, if this is your debut novel, what else do you have in store? Because this is amazing. Yeah, definitely my favorite book of the year, without a doubt. I literally think about it every day. So, highly recommend this book. Highly recommend it. The next book that I rated 5 stars was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I finally read this book, guys. I finally read it. And I absolutely loved it. This deals with a woman who decides that maybe life isn't for her, and when she ends her life, she is put into the Midnight Library, where she can see how different decisions that she makes would change her life. And then she can choose, kind of. She kind of has a choice of where she goes in life after this, you know? And it deals with quantum physics, which I absolutely love. When quantum physics are in science fiction books, it's kind of a science fiction book. Then it's a done deal for me. I will love it. So this book is just stunning. The writing is beautiful. It's really a, I wouldn't say a love letter to yourself, but it's kind of like that. Like having to put the perspective of, oh shoot, yeah, maybe these things aren't as, they don't matter as much as I make them in me. If that made absolutely no sense. I already know that. But no, it's almost like a preventative suicide novel. That's kind of how I see it. But it's beautifully written. The characters, amazing. Next book I ended up giving 4 stars, but it is a book that I think about a lot, and I just want to protect these people. So the next one is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I know, basic. But I really enjoyed this book. I read this at the same time as one of my Bookstagram friends, and we both really enjoyed it. Marianne, love her. Love her. I just want to protect her. But I just felt like this was a wonderful story about not necessarily love, but just having that comfort person. I felt like the 2 characters were definitely, I felt a lot like Marianne, and then, what was his name? I forgot his name, but he reminded me of my ex, and so I just kind of felt like that was the situation, and I think that's why I connected with the book so much. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know what to say about this book just because it is something that you kind of just have to read. It's very slow, I will let you know. But I kind of liked the pacing of it because it kind of made sense. But I know not a lot of people like slow pacing on some books, but I'm not one who likes slow pacing. But this one kind of just worked for me. So, yeah. It's interesting. I just don't know what to say about this book, but I really loved it. And I really love the characters. I am excited to read other books by Sally Rooney. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, I highly recommend the book. The next book that I rated 5 stars was Something Happened to Allie Greenleaf by Haley Krisker. This is a book that I fell in love with the cover first, obviously, but I wanted to read it last year, and I just never got a hold of it, and then I bought a copy at half price, and oh man, this was everything that I could have wanted in a book. I cannot tell you how much this book means to me. So this book is about Allie, and she's a junior in high school, and she has a crush on this guy, and this guy ends up raping her, and she's kind of having to deal with the aftermath of it, the emotional, the physical, the outer where people are judging her. And then the guy who raped her, his best friend, is trying to get her to not talk about it. She's trying to protect him because she doesn't think that he did it, but she also feels like she has to protect him because they've been best friends forever. And so she befriends Allie, and it's kind of a situation where a lot of girls are being manipulated, and I like to see that power struggle, I guess, where this guy is being so manipulative and they just don't see that until later on. It's very different than any book that I have read that deals with sexual assault. It's about toxic friendships and just toxicity in general in high school, and this is just such an amazing book. I highly recommend it. There's not much else I can say about it because I don't want to... I think this is a book you have to read to get the experience of it. And apparently there's going to be a second one, so hopefully it comes out soon because I just want it. And yeah, I just know it's going to be amazing. I don't really understand why there's going to be a second one, but I'll take it. I'll take it. The next book that I rated 5 stars was More Than Words by Jill Santopolo. This is my first book by Jill Santopolo, and I actually read this one and Something Happened to Allie Greenleaf back to back, so I read 2 5 stars back to back, which is amazing. But this is just a great book. This is about a woman who she's kind of just been controlled by her dad her whole life, or just the men in her life, and she hasn't really been able to make decisions on her own. And when she kind of gets a crush on someone else that isn't her boyfriend, she has to make a decision, and there's a lot of life choices that she has to make decisions on. So it was very nice to see a woman in power of her own life after it had been taken away from her, basically. So it's about a woman who chooses her own destiny, and it's really beautiful, very beautiful to read, and the writing is really, really amazing, the pacing amazing, just everything about this book is amazing. Like, I just love it, and I cannot wait to read more books by Jill Santopolo. So the final 2 books were both 4-star reads for me, but they're books that I think about very often. So the first one is The Escape Room by Megan Golden. This is a book I started in December of last year, and I finished it in January. But this is an incredible psychological thriller. It really messes with your head. It's very intricate, very, I don't know how to describe it. You have got to keep up with this book because there's stuff happening everywhere. I like the way that there was 2 points of view, basically. Well, I guess, okay, 2 different times. So there's a perspective where it's in the past, and there's a perspective where it's in the future. Or not in the future, in the present. And I really liked that. It was very nice to see how we got to the present, weave through the story. So it's not a linear story, which I think makes it very interesting. You also get an inside scoop on Wall Street and how corrupt that thing is. And so I really like that. I love seeing corrupt systems be revealed. in books. I liked them to be like, hey guys, maybe these systems don't actually work. Maybe this is just for rich people, or maybe this is just for white people or men or whatever. So it's very interesting to see how Wall Street was shown in this book, which I think is very accurate how it was shown. So yeah, I really recommend this book. It is technically about an escape room, so there is some type of game situation in here, but yeah, it's a lot of about Wall Street too, and the craziness and corruption that goes into that. And finally, the last book that I think about so often, it is The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Lear-Sans. This book was just phenomenal. I read it pretty quickly, and it's just a good book about family that isn't necessarily blood, and there's LGBTQ+. I mean, what do we expect from Benjamin Lear-Sans? He wrote Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Universe, and so obviously there had to be LGBTQ stuff. But I just felt like this was such a good story. It's heartbreaking, but it's also, it didn't make me cry. That's the thing. It was heartbreaking in the most beautiful way. There's always a good side to what happened. So I highly recommend this book. It's mostly about family. So if you like a family story or friends, highly recommend it. There's not much else I can say about it. I know I've said that about a bunch of the books, but a lot of these books that I love are books that you kind of have to read yourself, because it's more of an experience. So those were the top 10 books I read in 2021. I read a lot of amazing books, so if you guys want to see a video where I kind of give you an overview of all the books I read, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know in the comments as well what books were your favorite books of the year, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.